Chapter 9. Thursday late afternoon. Doreen still had a little of the afternoon ahead of her. As she sat here at her kitchen table, she wondered about the common sense of doing something with that proposal to bid on landscaping the city's beds. It had to be submitted by tonight. Bringing up the website link Mac had given her, she wrote up something, keeping her almost ex-husband's constant business lessons in mind. Give them lots of details that say nothing. Make it detailed enough that they get an idea. Keep it vague enough that you don't promise anything. She sighed. I hate to think I've learned anything useful from you, you big rat, she snapped. She left the laptop open with a draft on screen, then saved it to make sure she didn't have to redo it all. She only had another 4 or 5 hours left to submit her bid. She was still undecided if she should or not. She took a look around for food, realizing she had little more than the last of the carrot cake and half sandwich. She scoffed the sandwich only to realize it wasn't enough to keep her going. She'd need to round out her meal with ramen noodles again. She studied the stove for a long moment, knowing she still had days to go until the omelet lesson. Just the thought of an omelet was enough to make her taste buds drool. She looked forward to learning how to cook anything. The internet was full of all kinds of tips, and the food created always looked absolutely fantabulous. Then she looked at all the foodie shows online, but nobody there really dealt with the beginner stuff. She grabbed a package of ramen noodles, stuck them in a bowl, covered it in water, and put it in the microwave. She knew that true foodies would be horrified by what she did, but hey, it was food. She brought out the carrot cake, set it on a plate on the table, and went in search of protein. But she didn't have a whole lot left. Then she remembered the rest of the rotisserie chicken. She pulled out the 1/4 left, and with a grin at her odd pairing of ramen noodles, carrot cake, and 1/4 of a roasted chicken, she sat down to a meal. Her tummy was almost full when she was done, and with a cup of tea and the carrot cake she had yet to eat, she moved upstairs to the bedroom. There was just something about treasure hunting, about going through Nan's clothes and finding money. Just like the last time, Doreen brought a bowl to collect everything she found. That included the change purse, 2 $50 bills, and several smaller bills, and lots of little stuff. As far as she was concerned, this closet was a gold mine. She kept hoping she could find more in other areas of the house, but figured she needed to finish this room first. She hadn't forgotten about the garage sale idea, but she hadn't done anything about it yet. Meanwhile, she had to sort more clothes to take to Wendy. That was what she would do now. With that thought in mind, she delved back into the master bedroom closet. It was a much slower process in this bedroom, because Doreen found a lot of clothes she didn't want to give away. A lot of them would sell easily at the consignment store because they were so unique. But at the same time, Doreen didn't want to let go of anything that she could use herself, because shopping for new clothes was horrifically expensive. Nan had traveled a lot in her younger years, and it looked like she'd bought a lot of clothes from her various holiday destinations. And thankfully, she hadn't bought touristy things. No t-shirts with the names of Hawaii and various cities on them were found, but several really nice long flowing skirts she set off to one side after checking to make sure they had no pockets. Then she found a cropped jacket that had a small pocket in it. And she crowed with delight when she pulled out a $5 bill from the pocket. Nan's closet was such a lifesaver in so many ways. It kept Doreen busy when she was bored. It gave her enough pocket change to definitely keep Doreen alive right now, while she figured out how to get on her feet. Then the consignment store sales would bring in more money later. Doreen had no problem with getting a job she could do, but she hoped not to go into a fast food industry or waitressing. Although the thought of getting a meal as part of her hours was not something to scoff at. She definitely lost weight since she'd moved into Nan's house. Ramen noodles didn't provide a ton of nutritional benefits, but she was doing her best with what she got. She was proud of how far she'd come. Honestly, she was damn proud of helping solve these cold cases. If the police department would even say thanks by way of food, she'd be happy. The little jacket in her hand was also gorgeous. She had to put it on. It stopped just at her ribs and looked awesome. It was an emerald green, but it wasn't flashy. Knowing she couldn't let it go, she put it off to the side with the other things she was keeping for herself and reached for another item hanging in the closet. The next piece was a strapless gown. She had to wonder how long these clothes had been around. Long enough that they were now back in fashion. She knew this dress wasn't her color and she'd never wear it, so she searched through the folds to make sure no money was tucked in the bra cups like she'd found before. Finding nothing, she then put this one in the consignment store pile. As soon as she gained more room in the closet, she could get her own stuff better sorted. Not that she had much, but she still had a suitcase she had yet to open. Determined to make a bigger dent in the closet than she had so far, she grabbed 10 more hangers and brought them out, laying them on the bed. And one by one she went through them. She found another pocketful of change and a $20 bill tucked inside one of the dresses. Nan obviously didn't want to go out without money, and she wore designer clothes that absolutely wouldn't allow for purses or sweaters or jackets without detracting from the overall look. So she had tucked money inside. With Doreen very carefully going through each piece of apparel, she ended up with a small fortune in Nan's pin money. It was a lovely system of using safety pins to keep money in her clothing. Of those last 10 items alone, Doreen ended up putting all but one into the consignment store pile. Afraid she'd missed something in them, she would go through each piece again before she tucked them into the bag going to Wendy. This was kind of like a sport. With those hangers done, she grabbed another 10. As she brought them out of the closet and lay them on the bed, she realized the closet rod was still too full to accept any of Doreen's own pieces. Nan had jammed in years and years, if not decades upon decades, of clothing in there. Doreen would spend days sorting through this. She pulled up the first piece on top of the newest pile, a pantsuit with pockets that held money. She decided this was the best closet sorting process she'd been through yet. The jacket had money in the inside pocket, which looked like a $20 bill when she pulled it out. But she was delighted to find a 50 tucked inside it too. She checked all the other pockets, then went through the pants. Sure enough, tucked inside with a safety pin was another 10. It was also an excellent suit made of wool. Frowning, she set it off to the side that she'd keep for herself. She'd try on all these in that pile to see if they would look good on her, before making her final decision to keep any. She was a bit of a clothes horse, and some of these items were quality made, as in a serious quality. She went through the next few dresses, more of a shirtwaist style. But only one of them had a pocket yielding a $5 bill tucked inside. She put 3 dresses in the consignment store pile, and then found another silk dress to add to Wendy's pile. Doreen gasped when she held up the gold lame. Wow, Nan. This is incredible. And again, tucked inside the bra cup, she found a $10 bill. This one was hard to see. It had a slice in the material, and just a bill folded up inside. Very smart of Nan. Again, this made Doreen worry she'd missed something in all the others. She squeezed the dress slightly to make sure nothing more was tucked inside, but didn't find anything. Another stack on the bed had been done. Staring at the growing pile of bills in her bowl, she realized Nan had lost some serious money here. She rephrased that because Nan hadn't lost it. She had deliberately pinned money inside so that, if she was out for an evening, she didn't have to take a purse. It was an interesting concept. It had also meant Nan had a lot more disposable cash than Doreen had supposed. By the time she went through 3 more stacks of 10 hangers, she had created a slight bit of relief in the overcrowded closet. She could now shuffle the hangers back and forth a little with at least an inch or two of room. Her consignment store collection was massive too. She grinned at that. But the bowl on the bed with the multitudinous bills and coins made her really smile. Although the stacked clothes she meant to keep were also pretty damn fine. Nothing in that pile would really work for around the house, or for her non-existent job, but at least it gave her clothes to wear to go out, should she ever get that opportunity. Deciding she'd take one more big stack from the closet, she grabbed what looked like at least 15 hangers this time. She could almost hear the closet groan with relief, and the rod seemed to spring back up as she took more weight off it. "Sorry, old house. You've really been abused, haven't you?" "Unintentionally, of course." She laid the hangers on the bed, once again marveling at the diversity of clothing. Everything from pants to jackets to sweaters to dresses to skirts. There was just everything. In the middle of the pile appeared to be 2 bathrobes too. She held them up, looking at them critically. No money was in either of them, but she didn't have a decent bathrobe, as she'd forgotten her silk one in one of the places she'd stayed. These were quite nice, kind of like those found in the 5-star hotels. She set them off to the side and made her way through the rest of the clothing. When she came to 4 pairs of pants, she pulled them out one by one, checked the pockets, found money in every one of them and several pieces of paper. She dumped all the contents, checked the pants over thoroughly and held them up to her waist, finding they were all too short for her. When she thought about that and considered the capri styles of today, she couldn't just throw them out. They were good quality, and she might have a need for them. She put them in her pile to keep and found she was running about 50-50 on the pile sizes. For a long moment she felt guilty about that because, if she could sell something, she needed the money more than the clothes. And then she realized it didn't matter, since this was just her first round. She would end up trying on 20 or 30 of them, keeping only 1 in 10, hopefully. She just needed to keep doing what she was doing. The trouble was, she was getting tired, and it was dark out. Tomorrow would be a whole new day. She sat down on the bed. When her phone rang, she picked it up and looked at the unknown caller designation. She snorted and answered it. "What do you want?" She heard a startled gasp on the other end. Getting angry, she added, "Stop stalking me." "Me?" the person asked. "Who are you talking to?" "Well, you called me," she said. "What do you want?" "I was talking to Wendy at the consignment store," the man nearly yelled. Immediately she realized what she'd done. "Oh my goodness. Is this Fen Gunderson?" "Yes," he said. "Who did you think you were speaking to?" "Somebody made 3 nasty phone calls to me last night," she said in a rush of shock. "I'm so sorry. I assumed it was him when I saw it was an unknown caller." He sounded mollified at that. "Wendy said you're looking for some assistance with antiques." She bounced off the bed. "Yes. Nan's house is full of them, but I don't know what might be worth anything and what's really better off at a garage sale." "I could come by and take a look if you'd like," he said. "But apparently, you've got an awful lot going on. Maybe you don't want me interfering." "I'd love your help," she said. "Honestly, if you wouldn't mind, I would absolutely so appreciate your assistance." "When?" he asked. "I don't have too much free time." "I understand," she said. "Any time that works for you would be great." "Maybe tomorrow?" he asked. "Tomorrow is Friday." "Tomorrow is perfect." "What time?" "I start at the Mission Bible thrift store at noon," he said. "How about I come by, let's say, at 10 o'clock? "Perfect," she agreed. "And again, I'm so sorry. If you have a phone stalker, I can understand your reaction. You stay safe now." And he hung up. "Oh my goodness. I'm so bad at this. I didn't even give the poor man a chance to speak," she told the animals. Goliath looked completely uninterested, as if he expected that from her. Muggs was stretched out on the bed with his eyes closed. She'd covered him up with half the clothing as it was. She would never get to bed if she didn't at least sort through the mess she had piled there. So she grabbed one of the large bags she'd found in the bottom of Nan's closet, confirming it was empty first, and then went through every piece once more before giving it to the consignment store. She found another $10 bill, but that was it. With all the clothes bagged up for consignment, she made a heap on the nearby chair of all the clothes she contemplated keeping. Then she quickly undressed, got ready for bed, and curled up under the blankets. Thankfully, no more threatening calls came that night.